What's up, guys? LQ here with the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. This is where I talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that I love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, and TV shows. And right now, let's talk about Terminator Zero. So this is the new Netflix Terminator series that came out a few days ago. And I was able to watch the whole thing. And I'm a big fan of the Terminator franchise, right? Terminator 1, Terminator 2 are two of the greatest movies ever made. I like 2 a little bit more than 1. I think it's kind of 50-50 in the fandom on which one's better, but I love both those movies. Then the franchise kind of took a left turn. This is how I view the Terminator franchise. The main continuity ends with Terminator 2. Everything else is kind of alternate timelines. So, Rise of the Machines, alternate timeline. Salvation, alternate timeline. Genesis, alternate timeline. Dark Fate, alternate timeline. There were parts in Dark Fate that I loved. I just couldn't get over the fact that they Hicks and Newted John Connor. So that's kind of how I view the Terminator franchise. Is it ends with 2. Sarah Connor Chronicles, alternate timeline. It ends with 2, but everything else is kind of alternate timelines. And Genesis, I believe, was kind of heading in that direction. And it just didn't really gain the traction to continue on that direction. And all the Terminator movies, with that mindset that 1 and 2 is the main continuity, everything else is alternate timelines, with that mindset, to some extent, I've enjoyed every Terminator movie. Now, they're nowhere near as good as the first 2, but to some extent, I have enjoyed them. Yes, even Dark Fate. As mad as that movie makes me. There's just good stuff in it. So, I like the Terminator franchise, and I even the bad ones, I can still get enjoyment out of. You know, I can objectively say, yeah, Genesis and Dark Fate are bad movies. I still get enjoyment out of them because they're Terminator movies. So, watching this, I was optimistic, but I was also skeptical. And I was skeptical because I'm not an anime fan. I don't like anime. Anime kind of annoys me, if I'm being honest with you. And I've always had people say, you gotta check out this one, or you gotta check out that one. Alright, I've checked out a lot of them. And it just kind of annoys me. I don't like the animation style. Anime really came west after my formative years in fandom. When I was a kid, I used to watch this anime called Unico. Well, I was a little kid, but there's this anime called Unico. It's probably a deep cut for some of you because most people probably have never heard of Unico. But that was kind of the extent of my anime knowledge as a kid, just because it wasn't a thing. Like I'm sure it was a thing, you know, in the eastern parts of the world, but here out west, it just wasn't a thing. Filmation was where it was at when I was a kid. So I have tried to watch anime projects, and mostly they just don't work for me. There's been the odd one that I've enjoyed. Akira, you know, things like there's been the odd one that I've enjoyed, but even then I don't revisit them a lot just because I don't like the animation style. So, what did I think of Terminator? Being a big fan of the Terminator franchise, but not being a fan of anime. I gotta tell you, I really liked it. I did. I really liked it. Anime aside, it tells a very compelling story. And the story kind of gives credence to the fact that yeah, there's multiple timelines now. Every time you go back in time, according to what they established in Terminator Zero, every time you go back in time, you create a new timeline. So there's many different timelines now, which means that Terminator 1 and 2 can be the main timeline, but that also means that Rise of the Machines and Genesis and Dark Fate, they all exist in canon as part of their own separate timelines. I appreciate that storytelling mechanism that Terminator Zero introduced. I also really liked the action in Terminator Zero and the idea that Malcolm came from the future to try to stop Skynet by creating a machine that empathizes with humanity. And then the machine has to be convinced to empathize with humanity. I thought that was very compelling stuff as well. And all these household machines that are in every home turning on humanity. It was like a different road to the apocalypse. And that fascinates me. That those are the type of stories I would like to be told in the Terminator universe. I don't want to mess with 1 and 2. Let's leave that timeline alone. That was the perfect ending. But I think that there is room, now that, I mean, obviously time travel is involved in this. I think there is room to explore that there are other timelines and other stories that can be told in the Terminator universe. Stories that can use time travel to create these other compelling stories within this universe. I know a lot of people want to see the Future War. I don't really have no desire to see the Future War. It's one of those things, it's like Michael Myers, right? It's best left to your imagination. Because once a filmmaker tries to put it up on screen, it's not going to match what you saw in your head, and then it's going to be underwhelming. I'd rather leave the Future War alone. The premise of Terminator is that the final war is fought in the past. We can continue doing that, and we can continue doing that in different timelines. So, I liked Terminator Zero a lot. I thought the action was great. There was some good gore, some good kills. The Terminator that got sent back in time was pretty cool. And the story overall, I thought was really well done. So, you know, when Alien Romulus came out, I said, this is the best one since Aliens. And I believe that. I believe Alien Romulus is the best one since Aliens. So do I say Terminator Zero is the best Terminator thing since T2? I don't know. It might be. It might be. That it could be Sarah Connor Chronicles. You know, I don't know. I don't know if I enjoyed it that much, and part of it could be strictly because of the anime. Sarah Connor Chronicles could be a little bit better just on that basis alone. So, that's my take on Terminator Zero. What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments below. While you're down there commenting, give my channel a sub, and until next time, we'll see you guys later.